Hey, and welcome to the world of viewneo. I'm Julius, and today I warmly welcome you to the second part of the event's tutorial series. Let's get started after the intro. Let's talk about event management. In general, I'll show you various use cases with SignageBox, a touchscreen, and much more. And I'll also show you how to set everything up in viewneo. In the first part of this video series, we already talked about all the basics regarding playlist events. And today we're starting with the first use case. If you haven't watched the first part yet, I recommend doing that before this video. I'll link the video up here in the info card. Alright, let's get started. Today we're focusing on the first use case with the SignageBox. If you're also unfamiliar with the SignageBox, no problem, there's a video for the initial setup as well. I'll also put that up here in the info card or check the video description. You definitely should have seen that before watching this video. Alright, let's go. If you've already registered and set up your SignageBox, you'll find it in the viewneo CMS under the Device Manager. Now let's imagine the following scenario. You own a restaurant, a snack bar, or even just a bar, and you offer every day 2 different time and drink menus. For example, a coffee menu and a cocktail menu. Once in the evening, there will also be a happy hour at a specific time with a 20% discount on all drinks. It would be really cool if the coffee and cocktail menus were displayed throughout the day. And then in the evening, at a time you specify, this playlist will be interrupted by an extra happy hour content. With playlist events, that's exactly possible. I'll show you how to set it up now. First of all, you obviously need a playlist. I've already created it here. And as you can see, there are 3 different pieces of content in this playlist. First, coffee menu. Then, the cocktail menu. And additionally, there's another piece of content that is meant to highlight happy hour. If we have now connected a SignageBox to a screen and selected this playlist during setup, these 3 contents or this playlist will be played on a loop all the time. And now the events come into play because I want the happy hour content to not play all the time, but only at a specific time. So in this example, the trigger would be the time and the date, and the action would be to play the happy hour content. And with that, let's get started. We select our playlist, right-click here, and then click on Events. Here, we can now create our first event. First, we're going to give it a name. I'm just going to call this happy hour. And right below that, we select the trigger. In our example, it's the date and time. And now we can directly select the start time and the start date. I'll just choose 7 p.m. and for the start date, I'll take today. We don't need a filter here. Next, we only need to select Go to Content under Action. We select the SignageBox that we have registered and then, of course, the happy hour content. Don't forget to save. Now we already have a nice overview of the event we just created. Here we see that the trigger is the time and the date. There are no filters. The action is to jump to a content and the status is active. By using the 3-dot menu here on the right, we can edit the event. Okay, the first step is already done. However, my playlist is running on a loop. So, even though I've just created an event that says the happy hour content should only play at 7 p.m., it's already running all day in this playlist loop before 7 p.m. And we definitely don't want that. That's why we need to find a way to ensure that only the 2 coffee and cocktail menus are running in a loop. And the happy hour should really only appear at 7 p.m. We can also set that up with an additional event. For that, I'm going to create a second event and just call it Loop. And now I'll choose a trigger. End of content. And now it gets exciting because we are going to create a filter that will determine after which content the action takes place. In my playlist, the coffee menu is currently playing first, then the cocktail menu, and then the happy hour. However, the cocktail menu should jump back directly to the coffee menu after it has played and skip the happy hour content. That's why we're now selecting content matches and then choosing the cocktail menu. For the action, we select Now Go to Content. We select our signage box again and then, very importantly, the coffee menu. So that means after the cocktail menu has played, once the content has finished, the action will be an immediate jump back to the coffee menu. Now don't forget to save and we're done. The coffee and cocktail menu now alternate throughout the day and run in a loop. And starting at 7 p.m, the playlist will automatically switch to the happy hour. And this is happening even though all three contents are in a shared playlist. By the way, after the happy hour content ends, the playlist jumps back to this coffee cocktail menu loop. By the way, you can set the playback duration here in the playlist by right-clicking on Settings and then on Playback Duration. This use case can obviously be applied not just in hospitality, but is also great for department stores or shopping malls. The coffee and cocktail menu could then, for example, be offers from various fashion brands. And the happy hour content could then be an extra offering for Black Friday, for example. That wraps up the second part of the events. In the next part, we'll expand our SignageBox use case with a touchscreen. Make sure to subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss out on that. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.